All right, now, one other thing that I propose to do, because we're telling them there's this chunk of testimony from a couple of days that y'all need to ignore entirely, disregard entirely, don't give it any consideration. What I propose to do, in addition to instructing them on that, is to then do some version of kind of said, and if there is anybody who thinks they can't, let me know. And I would propose to do that whenever I give this instruction, so that if there are jurors who are like, no, man, I just cannot do that. Once I hear it, I can't unhear it. Then we can know that. We can excuse those jurors. And I mean, I guess if it's 8 jurors that say that, then we might have a mistrial. But better to go ahead and figure out from the outset, as far as I'm concerned, can you do that?
Wait a minute. This judge just announced that if Woody don't take the stand or choose to not take the stand and the jury can't disregard his testimony, she gonna declare a mistrial? Could Monday be potentially the last day of the YSL Rico trial altogether? Or is this a bigger play from the state? Man. If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep. What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Jay. And man, y'all know we got to talk about this Young Thug YSL Rico trial. But before we do, man, tap that notification bell, hit that subscribe. And whether you're a fan of the case or an op of the state, man, hit that like button. Hit the like button. Good looking. Y'all ready? Now ask yourself, with the state's case weighing heavy on Woody's testimony, if you was Woody at this point of the case, would you take the stand and redo your whole testimony? Or would you go sit down? But if you go sit down, what point is he also proving? Devil's point of view. As a juror, what would you do? Let's dig.
Now, we have to decide how we're going to instruct the jury about what to consider and what not to consider as to Mr. Copeland's testimony. Now, this assumes that Mr. Copeland decides to testify. Obviously, if he decides at this point, on Monday not to take the stand at all, then it's a pretty easy instruction because it's disregard everything you heard from this witness. But if that's not the case, then does anybody have a proposal for how we are going to, and I think that's what the state had sent something on. And has the defense had a chance to look? And is there, I think Mr. Williams maybe has just sent over his proposed instruction, which hopefully everybody has gotten. All right. All right. So Mr. Williams' motion, his language, that looks pretty good to me. Obviously, we don't need to include the case law sites, but
So it's evident at this point of the trial, the state's case is definitely weighing heavy on Wood. But ask yourself, as a juror, how could you be instructed to just potentially disregard everything that you've heard, ever seen, social media posts that you're not supposed to be watching, but sure, when viral is viral? So ask yourself, if you was a juror, could you disregard it? Or would you say that you would disregard it just to get out this whole situation in case? Is this a bigger play from the state? Let's dig.
All right, now, one other thing that I propose to do, because we're telling them there's this chunk of testimony from a couple of days that y'all need to ignore entirely, disregard entirely, don't give it any consideration. What I propose to do, in addition to instructing them on that, is to then do some version of, and Ms. Pursfield filmed a case that was pretty recent where a court had done this when they were having to say, ignore all that evidence, disregard it. They actually kind of said, and if there is anybody who thinks they can't, let me know. And I would propose to do that whenever I give this instruction, so that if there are jurors who are like, no, man, I just cannot do that. Once I hear it, I can't unhear it. Then we can know that. We can excuse those jurors. And
Man, this man possibly just messed up the case, which I think is a good thing. Now, ask yourself this. Everybody knows, and it should come as no surprise, that his testimony was definitely pivotal for the prosecution. Now, ask yourself this. What purpose does Wood have at this point to take the stand? The state has already showed that he'll turn on him. He's already turned on the state and the other people in the courtroom. What purpose does he serve at this point? And again, is the state still playing chess with their witness? Because they're not through. They're still wanting to hang him, plus them, plus whoever else comes and take the stand. Nobody taking no deal. Man, this case is getting crazy. But will it be over sooner than we think? It's dead.
And I mean, I guess if it's 8 jurors that say that, then we might have a mistrial. But better to go ahead and figure out from the outset, as far as I'm concerned, can you do that? Instead of just being left with, oh, they're presumed to do it. Okay, so thoughts on that? But it is an appellate court case. Ms. Percival, do you have the site for it? It looked like a pretty good idea to me.
That is Davis, D-A-V-I-S, State, and that's at 307 Georgia, 746. Don't have a pinpoint. I gave you first one.
Yeah, it's towards the end. It's either the last or the second to last topic that the appellate court addresses. And it even includes the instruction, and I may look at that and maybe borrow some from that as well. So y'all can take a look at it too. And do y'all all agree that if Mr. Copeland decides on Monday he is not going to testify, that everything he's said so far gets disregarded?
No, Your Honor.
No, you do not?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I'd love to hear it, but I'm not sure how that's going to work unless everybody agrees to it, because nobody's going to get to cross-examine him. So if y'all all are like, yeah, every one of us wants everything he said recusal motion, super, stipulate to it, I don't have a problem with it. But otherwise, tell me how that's going to work. Actually, does everybody want every bit of what he said pre-recusal motion?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Now, to me, this case is starting to turn into Woodard versus Woodard. In my personal opinion, a mistrial at this time of the case definitely ain't fair to anybody in the actual case but the state. Now, a mistrial with prejudice does make sense for the defendants as well as the defense. But ask yourself this, why just a regular mistrial? And how do we get to just a regular mistrial and being 108 days into this trial? Now, this is interesting because if you pay attention, the judge is actually being fair. But why would we still be waiting to see if the state's entire testimony in the case is weighing on the testimony of the Wood? If your life and freedom was on the line and Wood had the key, could you imagine? What do we believe? Let's dig. Yo, stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button. Share the video. Hit the like button. Let's dig.
Then how do I let them consider anything that everybody doesn't agree to pre-recusal motion when nobody's going to get a chance to test him further?
So, Judge, there is the issue of what Mr. Copeland wants to do, what he decides to do.
I know.
He may later on, if change his mind.
Sure.
And so I would just ask the court to allow us to think about what the court did.
Okay, y'all, I have been asking you for the last week and a half to think about it and to get together on it.
Specifically, if he chooses not to testify, because we were earlier, the court had had said that regarding his decision not to testify, there were limitations as to what remedies existed.
Yeah.
And the court said that if we found case law to present it to the court. So
Okay.
I have been looking at that issue, and before I present the court a specific case, I want to make sure it's on point. But I'd like the ability to present that.
Here's the thing. It's Thursday. We are not having court Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I'm bringing the jury back Monday. So
Understanding that, well, all that I'm saying is that even if the court brings the jury back Monday, and on Monday, Mr. Copeland chooses not to testify, Monday would be premature to tell the jury to disregard what he said, because he may change his mind on Tuesday, and then he comes in on Tuesday and they have to now consider what the court has told them to do.
undisregarded.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
So I would ask that,
well, let me ask you this. Assuming that we have him in before we have the jury in and he says, I'm good to go, put me on the stand, which he will not say in that way, but we still at that point need to say, as to the 13th, 14th, whatever, disregard that, right? I mean, that's the time to say that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I hear you. It may be that he says one thing on Monday, which is throw me in jail. And then by Friday, he's like, I don't like jail. I want to come testify. Then, yes, they get to consider what he said on the 7th through the 12th or 10th or whenever it was, 12th, I guess. But I don't think we leave them hanging in the meantime.
in the same way that sometimes we have to break from a witness if the witness gets sick.
Yeah.
They get sick in the middle of
Yeah.
state direct. It would be not yet right to say disregard.
Okay. What does anybody on the defense side of the aisle think about that?
Oh, two things, Your Honor. First, I think Your Honor indicated that you want to make sure that jurors are able to follow the instructions. And so I don't know how we're going to be able to, without telling them to disregard, make sure that they're able to disregard the instructions. Secondly, if there's evidence that they're not supposed to be considering, I don't want them to be evaluating other people's testimonies further on in this trial while still considering something they're not supposed to be considering.
I think so too. I mean, it's not ideal, but it may not come to pass, but I think that at the point in time when it appears to us, if it appears to us that he's not going to testify, we need at that point in time to say, discard everything you heard from this witness. And then if he later says, you know what, get me out of here, I want to testify anyway, then is when we say, okay, I know I told you to disregard it before, but he's available again to testify. So here's what you can consider. The rest of it, we're picking up from wherever. I just think that's the best we can do. So,
I'm still looking at that issue. Just
okay,
that
well,
particular
I mean,
part. And
that's fine. If you come up with something, let me know. All right.
Now, the crazy point with all of this is that Wood has actually already taken the stand, as everybody in the world has actually introduced the name Wood. Lil Wood, YSL Wood, or whatever you call him, it's an international name at this point. So this case is not just a Georgia State Rico or national Rico. It's actually an international Rico where all eyes are actually on the defense, the state, and especially the prosecution. Is there any way that this trial can actually be fair at this point? It was Judge Whitaker coming in and saying, hey, if Woody doesn't testify on Monday, then I am declaring a mistrial. Granted, XYZ does XYZ or says XYZ. But ask yourself this, why not grant the mistrial with prejudice so that the state doesn't get the advantage to bring it back? Is the judge really being fair? Will Lil Woody's testimony actually impact this trial even more? Will he even take the stand? Is it worth standing 10 toes down? But at this point of the trial, 108 days in, what does 10 toes down mean for a person in his position? Man, I'm your host, Jay, and this case should go to show. The life you save might be your own. Y'all make sure y'all jump in the comments and let me know Would it take the stand on Monday? The judge would have make a fair decision. Would his trial be over on Monday? Are we looking for a mistrial any day? A few more days until Monday. We'll be getting new Wise Hell music. Man, y'all jump in the comments and make sure y'all drop y'all thought. If you ain't hit that notification bell, tap the notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and man, don't miss a drop whenever we drop. Till next time, y'all stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, the life you save might be your home. Till next time, gone.